Collective Shout is back with a vengeance, except this time they're trying to lobby the Australian government to censor content creators and the entire internet. As if they couldn't get any more draconian or authoritarian, they are now using Madam Savvy to push their agenda and censorship in Australia. This is a crazy story, but before we get into it, make sure to like the video if you want YouTube to count your viewers' view, and subscribe, boys. I would appreciate it. So, Collective Shout is presenting falsehoods to the government using some researcher to look legit. They are submitting documents to get change enacted, and I am a part of the reason. Damn, dude. They want the government to stop the internet because technology was used to commit, terror against them, calling every single comment terrorism, misogyny, threatening. By the way, this coming from a company or an organization whose members defended the movie Cuties, which is even discussed in this document later on. They defend their takes again. They defend their absolutely insane glorifying of the movie Cuties. They defend it again. But Collective Shout is presenting me once again as a man, hiding my username and claiming that I am a terror who is committing misogyny. I am officially being used to push censorship in Australia. I have corrected them multiple times, but now they are submitting official documents with lies. This is insane. This is definitely a huge mistake by Collective Shout. A crazy mistake. Collective Shout is now using Madam Savvy to push government censorship in Australia. They're submitting official documents that misrepresent her, hide her identity, paint her as a man, and frame her as someone promoting doxing and violence, all while ignoring the actual context and the weeks of conversation she had defending the freedom of expression. This is what these groups do when they get a little power. They don't stop at games, movies, or art. They go after people who push back. They're hypocrites who spent weeks defending Cuties, then turn around and call criticisms of themselves, terror. Savvy has the receipts. They're about to find out what happens when you try to use a documented fighter for free speech as a prop for more control. This is... I mean, boys, for censorship, it doesn't get any worse than this. This is what Collective Shout is recommending the Australian government do to protect the normal internet users. And that is to completely hide the truth from every single person on the internet by censoring content creators. They're now calling for social media platforms these are their recommendations. Content that involves harmful sexist ideas and behaviors that are specific to women and are wielded as a weapon to censor or sanction another person or woman in general should be A, classified as misogynistic, B, classified as a form of gender-based hate speech, removed by online platforms. Misinformation used to cyber abuse at scale should be regarded as a distinct harm from defamation. They then go on to call content creators that have different opinions from them perpetrators of domestic violence. Social media platforms and deliberative platforms that seek to operate as regulated public squares within the public sphere must uniformly, consistently, and strictly enforce their respective TOS. Yeah, they absolutely should. They should 100% fairly use their TOS. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people that Collective Shout defend would get banned. One of those people being Hassan, who is so loved by Twitch that he just gets a TOS pass every single day. They continue participation in public deliberation by figures of significant influence such as Elon Musk should attract greater responsibility and significantly increase consequences for antisocial and or harmful behavior. Additionally, political elites and other powerful individuals pose a threat to the integrity of an effective public sphere. Therefore, it might be necessary to place limitations on the ability of empowered ruling elites to participate in the public space, or at the very least, mainstream regulated public squares. Well, what do you know, boys? The company or organization calling for authoritarian, draconian censorship of the entire internet wants to remove famous people from being able to be platformed on social media, wants to completely silence their voices because they might have a different opinion from them, and their opinion is right. And if you take a different opinion from them, then you're misogynistic, and that's hate speech. This is insane. These Australian Karens have went so far above their pay grade. They are now lobbying the Australian government against Elon Musk, and they're using Madam Savvy, calling her a man, to do so. And just to further prove my point, this is them going on to further defend the film Cuties. They cannot give it up, boys. They cannot give it up. They love that movie. It just to show how backwards and insane they are. They think that the criticism of the movie Cuties is misogynistic, that it is a form of the patriarchy, that it's evil, and that if you even call them out for defending the movie as being insane, well, then you're also a misogynist. But they continue down here. They say that they did not defend the movie Cuties, although it does correctly recognize the film's intended function. We're not defending the movie, we're just recognizing the intended function of the movie, which was to highlight and critique the sexualization of minors. As valid, this is a point made concurrent with a view of the film as a byproduct of an overwhelmingly misogynistic culture. In other words, Miss Tankard-Reist does not defend the film. More accurately, she says those few minutes of sexualized dancing could have been filmed differently, but that the utility of the critique is of adequate importance to choose not to crusade against it. Insane. If that is not defense of the movie Cuties, then I do not know what is. Excuse me, but if you can even so much as offer any amount of defense to that indefensible movie at all, you are insane. Your opinion should be tossed in the gutter, to the point that you literally view a movie that is main focused around, having children dancing in skimpy outfits, then you are the part of the problem. You are what needs to be censored and forced off the internet, not people calling you out for being, your insane self. But Emerald Apple here says authoritarians and feminist Karens like Collective Shout love to lie in order to push their agenda. The end doesn't always justify the means, especially when all they do is try to take down fictional content and fantasy stories that men enjoy, but complete crickets when it comes to the taboo content that women enjoy. While they do have activity whenever it comes to real, stuff, they keep attacking fictional content because it's low-hanging fruit for them. Their activity has been pretty high profile when it comes to attacking anime and video games, and that's right, because you are not allowed to enjoy something where they are, which is one of the main issues here. It's the fact of the absolute bias that they have against anyone that has an opinion different than them, to the point that they're literally calling Madam Savvy, who is actually a woman, a man, which is pretty, that's pretty misogynistic. That's about as misogynistic as it gets, to parade a woman around as a man simply because you don't like her takes. But Madam Savvy, to close it off, says this: there's a reason online hate did not show the original tweets in question whenever it came to their documentation. Not a soul at that pathetic group has a real degree, because documentation actually means documenting with evidence. Their words fail to actually capture what was said. If Mel Tankard-Reist and Collective Shout are going to cry and lip gloss ads that adult women choose to do are violence against women and sexual exploitation, then Cuties commits a far greater crime in putting little girls not only on a stage and film, but the recording of 500 little girls for auditions was also criminal by their standards, or should be. The fact that this is never once noted is amazing. Given that this lie has been submitted to Parliament, I suppose I should look into contacting the Australian government once again, this time to correct a much larger, far more damaging lie. And yes, you should, Madam Savvy. We all know you have the receipts, and you should absolutely catch them in this, because this is a huge mistake by Collective Shout. Collective Shout making their comeback, and of course, they want to censor the entire internet. Of course, with their authoritarian worldview, they would love nothing more than to silence every adverse voice against them. Any opinion of sound mind, they are actively against, and it's evil. It absolutely is. Make sure you like the video if you want YouTube to count your viewers, boys, and subscribe. I love all of you. I know I was gone for about 2 weeks. I was dealing with some really bad health issues. I'm not going to go into it because it's TMI, but it was giving me a lot of issues, and I still have to go to the doctor for it, so I'm making an appointment with a schedulist. But I was in some bad pain, so forgive me for being gone for 2 weeks. But paper or plastic, boys, what do you think about this? Paper or plastic? Let me know down below what you think about Collective Shout and their internet censorship. I'm gonna go with plastic, boys. It's plastic through and through. These women are mannequins. They are. This might be a little misogynistic to say, but I think that they are plastic head to toe, if you catch my drift. I think the Botox has gone to their brains. It's leaking out of their ears. They're losing their minds. All right, boys, I love all of you. That's gonna be it for me. GG's. Peace.